All right, I want to talk about this video that Johnny50 just put out today. I'm not going to play the video. I'll link to it in the description. You can go and listen to the video. There's nothing earth-shattering in it, but it is interesting to me. I wanted to talk about what he talks about. Basically, two subjects. The first one is he talks about his case where he recently got arrested at a library in California. Um, and the other issue, the other thing that he talks about in it is how he's setting up his own website and kind of using it as his own personal platform because YouTube is dead, kind of thing, and using it to e-bag for lawyers' fees for his his upcoming case. Right. So the first thing let's talk about is this whole e-begging thing, and nothing against Johnny50. I love his content. I think he does a good job, but far too many of these activists are turning to e-begging for things like lawyers' fees and traveling expenses and stuff like that. Listen, if you become an activist, right, and you don't have a lawyer on retainer before you ever even begin, you're a fool, right? I've seen way too many activists, and it happens to all of them eventually, get arrested, and in cases, in certain, eventually multiple times, and they just get buried, and they can't keep up, right, with the system. The system just grinds them up. Um, you should not be engaging in auditing and First Amendment activities if you're not prepared for the consequences. And the ultimate consequences are you're going to get arrested eventually. It's going to happen. It happens to every single one of them, no matter how meticulous they are, no matter how good they are at it. Look at, for instance, News Now California, right? He is very conscientious about not violating the law and explaining everything he does in even the most excruciating details to the cops when they show up, right? And he makes it clear, I'm not violating the law, over and over and over again. But yet he still got arrested, right? They all do eventually. I've seen Jeff Gray get arrested. Nobody is better at auditing than Jeff Gray, right? But he's been arrested numerous times. They may beat the cases every single time, but you look at Jeff Gray. I guarantee you, he has uh, an attorney on retainer, if not multiple attorneys on retainers, right? And so, don't wait. You auditors should not be waiting until you get arrested. Like in this case, Johnny50 represented himself at his initial hearing. They offered him a deal. He laughed at them, blah, blah, blah. Right. And now he's saying, well, I need to represent myself with a lawyer. They're eventually going to uh, concede. They're eventually going to drop the charges, but I'm going to have a lawyer in the meantime, right? I'm going to have to fight the battle. Well, I hate to break it to you, Johnny, but I doubt very seriously that they are going to drop the charges. And that's the second thing that I wanted to talk about was, this overly optimistic notion that you're going to win, right? When you have you know, uh, the case against you or whatever. In Johnny's case, he wasn't really breaking any laws, right? He was just filming, being quiet, filming um, inside a public library. You would think that would be legitimate, but a good place to look for this right now is Not Now, Maybe Later's channel. Not Now, Maybe Later. It did the same thing in Oklahoma, and he got arrested and brought up on charges, and he's going to trial, and he doesn't have a lawyer, right? So that's happening right now. I think his case just got postponed. Now you would think, right? I love the auditing at the library kind of scenarios because it seems like it ultimately often ends up in the auditors getting arrested. Um, but but it hasn't been adequately challenged yet. And so I think, you know, if it doesn't, if it doesn't happen in the case of Not Now, Maybe Later's channel, which I don't think it will, because that guy is, he's not particularly the best, you know. I don't know how to describe it, man. He's not very responsible, right? He should definitely have an attorney, but he can't afford one. He's too poor, blah blah blah, and he's begged to try to get one, and that hasn't panned out for him. So now he's going to have to suffer the consequences, and I don't think it's going to pay off for him. And I feel like the same possibility exists for Johnny Five O. Johnny Five O is a little bit smarter, a little bit more conscientious, a little bit more responsible. He'll probably get a good attorney, and he'll probably fight it. But take into consideration that I don't think they're going to drop the charges. I think they'll take it pretty far, if not all the way, because look at it this way: they had in his situation a policy that was approved by the city attorney. The city is already insured against any civil rights violations or whatnot, so they're going to go balls to the wall because they already know he's already tipped his cards. Johnny's already tipped his cards. He said, "Yeah, I'm going to sue him," and so they know that that's coming. So they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at him to get him to cave. They're going to take it all the way, and he may win, he may lose, but I wouldn't count my chickens before they hatch, so to speak. I mean, what's right is one thing. What's reality is another, right? I would say that if there is a venue that should support freedom of speech and in videography, as long as you're not bothering the other patrons or anything like that, the library is that venue, right? It is an ultimate venue for free speech. The time, place, and manner restrictions for free speech at the public library should be practically minimalist, right? Because think about it. You go into a library and it's filled with books by authors who are expressing their freedom of speech, and you can check the books out and you can read them there, and usually there's artwork posted on the walls in the library, which are expressions of free speech, and you can visit clubs and meetings at the library, which are expressions of free speech. Hell, I think I even registered to vote at the public library. So if there was a traditional public forum for free speech, I would say that the library is it. And so you have an absolutely good case to be made. And Johnny and Not Now, Maybe Later have absolutely good cases to be made. But here's what happens in these situations: almost never win these at the local levels, right? So here's what's going to happen in my prediction, and I could be wrong, and I'm no legal scholar or anything like that, but Johnny's going to go to trial. They're going to take him all the way to trial, and he will probably lose at the local level. I mean, if he goes to trial, because the judge can suppress this and suppress that and guide the jury and all this kind of stuff. The cards, the deck is stacked against you at the local level, and so what ends up happening is oftentimes these sorts of cases are lost at the local level and then won on appeals later on down the road, right? So, but that could take years and lots of money, right? And I guarantee you that city in California has way more money and way more capability than Johnny Five O does, right? So I'm not really all that confident that he can win. The second thing is this e-begging stuff is just it's just gotten out of hand, man. And nothing again against Johnny Five O, but look at all of these guys that are e-begging. Eric Brandt just e-begged. Him and his cohorts e-begged tens of thousands of dollars to help get him out of jail. You see PayPal Patty e-begging almost every single day for money. For this, that. Come on, guys, give me money, right? And after a while, of course, you as an individual consumer of these products can give your money to whomever you like. It's your money to give. But take into consideration that there are a lot of accusations that go along with a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are not in it for the right reasons. You know, there are insinuations that Patty has a pill problem. Try that's some alliteration for you. PayPal Patty has a pill problem. Say that 7 times fast, right? Or you know, that not now, maybe later's a tweaker, or you know, there's all this kind of stuff. The latest drama was Extra Good Citizen accepted a donation of $7,000 to help pay for Otto the Watchdog's uh, bail, and it turned out that Otto didn't need the money, so Extra Good Citizen spent it on him and some of his buddies having a vacation, you know, taking a vacation in North Carolina to go see that guy Blind Justice, who's also, you know, kind of questionable as to what his motives are, right? Um, so a lot of shady stuff goes on. So be wary who you give your money to. My general rule of thumb is I don't donate to any of these clowns. I'm in it for the free entertainment. I want to see what happens. You know, it's the train coming off the tracks kind of thing. You know, you don't want to watch, but you can't look away. Well, that's kind of how I view this stuff, and I don't see anything that these guys are doing that inspires me to give them any of my hard-earned cash. And most of them are just, you know, dubious. Their motives are dubious. You see, there are very few of these guys that I look at them and go, yeah, they have pristine motives. I think most of them are in it for their egos. They're in it for the clicks and views. They're in it for the ad revenue. They're in it for the donations. You know, they're in it for the attention whoring and the easy money, right? And so, you know, why should I contribute to that? I mean, I run ad blockers on YouTube. I don't watch any ads, and I don't donate to these guys. You know, I'm a very much a minimalist when it comes to, you know, what I support financially. I find it, you know, principle. So yeah, I guess that's all that I had to say. Again, this wasn't a personal attack on Johnny Five O, uh, but I really don't think that he's going to win his case. I don't think, at least not the way that he says, I don't think they're going to drop the charges. I think it's going to be a lot harder battle than what he thinks that it's going to be. I wish him good luck. You know, he probably shouldn't be have been arrested in that situation, and you know, it is what it is. But now that he's e-begging money for attorney's fees and stuff like that, okay, now I don't have as much respect for him as I did before. I've never seen Jeff Gray e-beg for attorney's fees. Okay, so certain individuals I see that do this are just entirely above board. Certain individuals are mostly above board, and I would put Johnny Five O in that category. And then there are the unscrupulous individuals, um, your uh, your accountabilities for alls, your PayPal patties, um, your not now, maybe laters, who are in it for themselves, right? They're in it for the clicks and views. So, just my opinion, my 2 cents. Give your money to who you want, but just keep it in mind, right? All right, cheers.